Okay, it's time to go. Today for our class we are going to create our first character in sprites. So at this point you should have already watched the video. Might be another one, but I think there's going to be one at least that's going to get you up to speed on how to do some pixel art. You should have also already downloaded Piskel from our eCampus site. Okay, now our eCampus site has this. Right now we just got the one video to watch. I might throw another one in there because there's some really good tips and stuff. It may be optional, but for now you definitely want to make sure you have these beginner tips in mind as you go through the assignment today. Now my video that I'm recording right now is going to go right here, all right? And then what we're going to do is quickly we're going to look at the rubric for today. So we want to make sure we have two upper limbs, a torso, and a head with directional facing. Now that doesn't mean you have to have eyeballs or anything like that, but we do need to see what direction the character is facing, okay? I'm going to build a character with eyes, but if you want to do something more like simple, you could do something just so they have a hairline, or if they've got spikes or tentacles or whatever, I don't care. As long as you can tell what direction they're facing. Maybe they have just one eyeball and it's facing one direction. That's okay. You can get creative, but we want to make sure that they have a facing. I am going to require two lower limbs that can run. Okay, so we're going to use standard bipedal humanoid characters today. You don't have to necessarily do humanoid. Well, you do have to do humanoid. I don't want any chicken walkers today. No back pedal stuff. No four-limbed creatures today. We're going to do humanoids. And then you're going to use between 5 and 10 colors. You're going to want to pick one major color, one primary color, and then you're going to want a darker and a lighter version of that. We'll explain that in a second. We're going to make sure that your character consistently fits in a 16 by 16, a 24 by 24, or a 32 by 32 canvas. The reason is we don't want to have to change the sprite size that often. When we do like extensions for like a sword swing or like some sort of like attack or something, that's different. But for now, when your character stands or when they run, we want to make sure that we keep them in that specific box. It'll help us with hit detection later and a whole bunch of mess of other stuff. So we'll keep that in mind. You may be saying, well, 32, if I make 32 by 32, everything fits in a 32 by 32, even if I go smaller. And that's true. You could start at 32 by 32 and make sure that your character fits in that, but you really want to keep those delineations. So if you do a 16 by 16, that's fine. Okay, you're going to want a clear background and no clipping. And then finally, our file name. We've talked a lot in class about the file name, but now I'm going to go ahead and go through it on video so that you know, and you can come back to this. This number is your period, okay? I've said it before, but I'll say it again right now. That number is your period. So if you're in fourth period, you don't put the number, you don't put fourth, you just put 4, then an underscore. This last name is your last name, so I would put Donnan. You might put Smith or whatever. And then this is the file name that we're going to use today. It's called character idle. Now we're not actually going to build a full idle cycle, but we're going to come back to this later at some point. So I want to make sure that we have it set for you. The reason I'm so critical about file names is because as we develop video games, simple, tiny little details like that can totally break your game. For instance, if you're importing a file and you import it with an I, like a capital I instead of an L, that can break your whole game. Okay, so what I'm trying to do is teach you the importance of detail management when we work on games. Okay, and then today we're going to actually submit a Piskel file. Once again, you'll download that here, and then when you're done downloading that, you're going to get Piskel, which is a tiny little program that you don't need to install, which is really great for our laptops that are locked down from installation. And we're going to look at a Piskel here. So right now I have a 32 by 32 pixel tile. That's the default setup, and that's fine for today. We'll start with that. If we make something smaller, that's fine. As a matter of fact, I'm going to make something that's going to fit 16 by 16, I think. Earlier today I made something a little bit larger, but for now I want to go through some of the different tools. Over here on the left we've got our pen size, okay, and down here are colors. This looks a lot like Photoshop, so you can swap the colors there, and then actually each is your right mouse button and your left mouse button. So I've already got some colors over here that I was using. So I'm just going to use my left mouse button and then I'm going to press my right mouse button. So you can see it transitions nice and easily. Control Z is the undo button. A vertical mirror allows you to set up a vertical mirror. So if I want to do something really cool like that, so it's exactly the same on both sides, I can undo. If I want to paint the entire screen, I can do that. Or if I have, let's say, I've got a bunch of pixels here and I've got a bunch of pixels here, right? If I use this tool, it paints all of the pixels the same color. So I can change all of these to red, or I can change all of these to blue, okay, which is really nice. And also, if you hover over these tools, you can see really easily what exactly is going on, or what the different tool functions are. This is our eraser tool, which we're going to use a lot. You can press E, and you can change this over here. You can also use the square bracket keys, which are right above the Enter key, to make it bigger or smaller. So I'm going to make a big eraser and erase everything. I'm going to go back small though. Okay, a stroke tool. The stroke tool allows us to take a color and make a straight line. Now, it's really good about this because it makes it consistent. All right, notice if I know that I want a 1 pixel wide diagonal, a perfect diagonal line, I can do that. And it's very, very consistent. So it breaks it, so it's 2 there, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, etc., etc. And it keeps all of those spaces even. So this is actually an even better tool than holding Shift and pressing the button, pressing the draw tool in Photoshop. This is our rectangle if we want to create a rectangle. This is our square if we want to... circle. Yeah, circle. So there's our circle. This is the move tool. We can move everything at once, the whole layer. If we hold Control, it applies to all layers. And our layer tool is over here, just like in Photoshop. And then Alt wraps the canvas border. So if I hold Alt and move it, you'll see it comes over on that side. That's really helpful when we're making tiling, tile work. Now, at this point, you're probably like, hey, why exactly didn't we use this from the beginning? Well, partly because Photoshop is an important tool that you have access to that's a professional level tool. This is not necessarily as high quality as Photoshop. It's got a very unique, specific thing. But the skills that you learn in Photoshop, you'll be able to use for your marketing when we end up making posters for our games. You'll be able to create buttons and all sorts of stuff. So that concepts in there, I thought would be really, really important. I also thought we'd be able to take to it a little easier than we did. So I think coming back to something a little simpler will be helpful for everybody. So moving on. So shape selection. So you can grab all of this and then move it around by moving it this way. So I can do this and then maybe I could paint like a shadow on the ground or something like that. This is our selection tool. So we can grab pieces, hold Shift and move them, and then hit Enter. This is very similar to the Control T button we used to use in Photoshop. This is our lasso selection. So it allows me to create, like grab full sections like that and then move them around just like before. Hit Enter to finalize that. This is lighten and darken. So if you hold lighten it, if I click this, it gets lighter. The color gets lighter. We're not going to use that much because that ends up taking away from the low resolution we're working with. I really encourage everybody to continue sticking with the 8-bit era concepts. So that means we're going to use only a few colors. We're going to use chunky pixels. We're not going to have a whole mess of pixels that we're going to use, because that means the more pixels, the more detail, the more colors, the longer it's going to take you to make art. And that's not really what this class is about. This class is to get your toe dipped in a little bit of everything. So this is keeping everything to a lower fidelity and a limited color palette will make it so that we can actually move this move along quicker. If you hold Shift, you can get a much more consistent lightness. And then what was it? Control will darken. So Shift Control will probably darken more consistently. Yes, it does. That's great. All right, dithering is not something we're going to use, but basically it creates a color system that will change. Actually, let's see if I can do this real quick. Let's just grab a big old bucket of paint. and then get rid of everything. Okay, so now it's consistent. Let's try this dithering tool. I actually have not tried dithering yet. I see. It basically gives you a checker pattern with the two colors you have. So let's say, I'm going to undo those.
Let's say I want to start with this here, and then I can take this color and maybe, actually, then I can take this one, and I'm going to lighten it. That's probably too much. All right, and I'm going to do the same thing there. Oops, dirt. I've got to be really careful. There. Now I'm going to take the same color and lighten it some more, and do it again. I got to be careful. Oh, boy. Now, oh, the concentration. All right, cool. And then I'll do maybe one more. So now I've got, like, dithering, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't... It doesn't seem to matter where I start because it always seems to give me the same.
So if we look at that from further away, you can see that it has a very specific sort of look to it. It kind of makes it look like, especially when you zoom it out, that it's like transitioning color. Okay. Like I said, we're not going to use that really a whole lot. If you want to play around with it, you're more than welcome to. So I'm going to add a new frame. I'm going to trash this one. So we have a brand new setup here. Let's go over here. Actually, we can turn our flip. So if we want to flip the whole scene, so if I've got something over here and I want to flip it, I can put it on the other side. That's actually really helpful so that you can see how your character can look from the other direction. Often when we make games, we're going to have one drawing for the character in one specific way, and then we'll just flip the image to go the other way. So that means if your person is right-handed with a shield and left-handed with a sword, and you flip it, they will have the left-handed with the shield and right-handed with the sword. That's okay. We're just going to let that go as one of the other things we're going to use to cut corners and sort of get through this relatively quickly. The rotate, we have rotate, and we have, what's our other tools? We can apply to all layers and all frames. This is clone current layer to all frames. So if you want to have like a specific thing on multiple frames, so if I add a new frame and then I clone current layer to all frames, it'll automatically show up on all frames. So boom. So now it looks like a background or something. All right, and then align image to the center will align the image to the center, which is helpful right before we export these out as a sprite sheet. Okay. Down below is our palette. This is actually going to be really important. Mine's set up for my previous character, which I was starting to mess around with. Let me get rid of this real quick and delete some of these. Boom, boom. As you can see over here is the different frames. The nice thing about Piskel is it really will help us when we get into our animation, which we will do our next class. So let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to create a new palette. A new palette will have, we can start with a new palette. I'll call it class example. I'll also give that. So let's start with let's say we're going to have an apple. I'm going to make an apple. I just thought of that. That's what I'm doing. So I'm going to pick a color. I'm going to pick, let's see, 200. Yes. And just like a pure 200 red. Cool. I'm going to add a new color, which is this one. I'm going to start with this, but I'm going to darken it. So this will be my shadow for I was going to say shading, my shadow. And I can desaturate it a little bit and darken it a little bit. Okay, so that's going to be my shadow for my apple. All right, and then I'm going to use this to make a brighter version with a little more light like that. So this is my bright version there. Okay, so I'm going to make an apple with eyeballs and legs. And so I've got my 3 red colors for my apple. I'm going to make a green color. All right, except let's find a good green. It reminds me of a leaf. All right, because that's my goal here. I think that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Maybe a little greener. No, that's good. Okay, save. All right, whoops, let me keep going. I'm going to edit that again. So I'm going to create another one. All right, and that's going to be actually, let's get rid of that one. Delete, cancel, nope. If you click the little X, you can delete the one you have. So if I've got that, I want to highlight this one because I want this one to make the new color from. So once again, I'm going to get a darker version of that, and also I'm going to desaturate a little bit because things in shadow seem to be a little bit desaturated. And then I've got those, and then I'm going to grab another color. And this is going to be a lighter, brighter green. Okay. Okay. Cool. Now I want a brown because I'm going to have brown. Brown is, I just watched a video the other day where brown is just like a dark yellow, which is kind of blew my mind a little bit. Like there is no such thing as brown or something. I don't know. It was pretty crazy. So I'm going to pick a brown, and then I'm going to pick a lighter brown for a little shadow, or less shadow. And now I'm going to get white and black. Now, save. Okay, cool. So, actually, let's manage this around. I'm going to move these around a little bit. So I have my green here. I'm going to have my red here. I'm going to have my light green here. I'm going to have my light brown there. I'm going to have my dark brown there. And then my white is going there. So I've got my dark, my mid color, and my highlight. And then I've got a dark brown, a light brown, and then there we go. So there's my 10 colors. Save. Okay, cool. So now I'm going to go to my pen tool and start my apple. So I want to start with my basic color, right? And I'm going to sort of create an apple shape. Maybe I'll start with a circle so I can have a decent idea of how big it's going to be. Now, notice down here at the bottom, it shows you how big your apple, or whatever it is, in this case it's an apple, how big it is. So I'm going to make mine 16 by 16, and I'm going to move it to the center, right? And I'll make sure he's 4 off the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, cool. So 4 plus 16 is 20. So that means I have 20 pixels at the top or that means I have 4, because I'm going to try and keep them in 4. So I'm going to take this brown, and this is going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, now if you look over here, this should be 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so there we go. So that's my basic shape, right? I'm starting out with just basic shapes. I'm not too worried about it. I'm going to maybe put, I'm going to have like a leg like this, and I'm going to have his foot like there. This one's going to be a guy because I said so. And this foot is going to be maybe like that, right? E. Yes, we're making an apple sort of person thing. Okay, cool. So we've got the basic idea. Now I'm going to create my, like obviously apples aren't round. So I'm going to maybe start messing with this a little bit. Take that off, come in here some, maybe come up a little more, maybe like that. And come up here a little more. I'm going to press E and take off some of that. I don't want it to be too tall. So now I can press O and select a color, or I can just hit P, select my red, and stick with it down there. Okay. Maybe we'll come out a little more like that. There we go. All right, cool. So now I'm going to draw my eyes, because I feel like my eyes are going to be the next important piece that I need to make here. So I'm going to fill in my paint bucket. And then I'm going to fill in my eyes. Once again, I've just thought of this, so I'm not like, you know, super like planned out here. It is a good idea to do concept art, that's for sure. But for now, we're just going to be winging it since we're just kind of getting started. I'm sure in Mr. Wells' class, you will go through and do a whole lot more when it comes to concept art. Okay, so I'm going to swap my color to black like this and like this. And the nice part is you can sort of see up here what it's going to look like. So obviously I'm not, I don't have a really good idea yet on how this is going to look. I do want maybe a little more here, and maybe now I'll start looking at my outline. I can zoom in a little bit. Now you'll notice whenever there's a hard edge, if a diagonal line, when I use this outline format, a diagonal line will give you a sort of softer edge than a hard edge like this one. See this? Even up here, that looks really sharp. But if I hit E and delete those edges where the 2 pixels come together, it smooths that out quite a bit. So O, click here, P. I'm going to end up drawing that leg around, so don't panic. Stay calm. Don't panic. Maybe. And then now I'm going to continue this line. I'm going to cut that top part off. There. Now I think he needs a leaf here. So I'm going to make this his leaf. And let's say the leaf is going to come out like this. And it'll be behind. I can put a little bit of highlight on the top of the leaf. Now we've got to start thinking about where is our sunlight coming from. All right, because I kind of put that, it looks like the sun's coming from that way. All right, maybe I can put a little darker part to the leaf under here. Notice I overwrote that black line. If you look up here, that's going to work. I think it's going to look okay. So we'll see if it looks okay when we're finished. But for now, I kind of like it. I'm going to grab my color again. Maybe do that. Yeah. I kind of like it. So far, I like it. All right. So we've got a direction. Notice my character is definitely facing to the right here. All right. Let's say we're going to start looking at shading. So we definitely have light sort of coming from the top, maybe from the top left. All right. If we do that, is this our darkest color? Yes. So therefore, maybe our light color is here, right? And then we can start shading in the brighter spots of our apple. Now, I'm working in this edge here, of course, right? But you want to look up here, okay? Now, once again, you guys might be fantastic artists, and you probably are. You're probably way better than me, and that's awesome. I'm just giving you some tips that might help you be a little more prepared for art, for the coloring and the concepts here. So, not super in love with that pink, but maybe when I put my darker shade in. So my darker shade is going to be, oops, down here, because we know the light's coming from that direction. So we're going to sort of use this to sort of accentuate some of the darker sections underneath the apple. All right. And then maybe we'll even take that up there a little bit. Go back to our regular red. All right, so if you look over here, our character is going at 12 frames per second, by the way. So far, I'm doing okay. All right. Now I'm going to start thinking about how my hands are going to be, right? So, because I said we have to have hands, and I'm also not super happy with how my feet look. I'm going to go ahead and start laying in how the feet are going to work. Now, you'll notice I didn't really have them totally set right away. Maybe there. I definitely want to have a knee. And I don't like straight lines like this. Straight lines tend to look a little weird. But we definitely want this to stay there. So I'm going to keep that sort of edge. And there. And then I'm going to hit delete. I'm going to delete that one. Maybe delete this. And I'm going to need to make sure that I make that black on the bottom. P for pencil. O, I'm just going to grab my color here. O, grab black through there. And that's kind of creepy, actually. Looks a little weird. Let's put a mouth on him. Maybe that'll make him a little less creepy. How's it look? I don't know, man. That's a weird leg. It's okay. It's okay. We're gonna let it go. I'm gonna take O, grab this, and then maybe make his knee a little more defined. Right, I'm gonna hit E to erase that one. Press O. That way we've got that. Maybe hit O. All right. That's weird. But okay, that doesn't matter. Maybe maybe for his limb, maybe we'll have well, let's darken up the foot there. Let's give a little more lighting there. There. All right, and then since that foot's so much bigger, let's go ahead and steal that color from there, make that a little larger, and steal that color. Hit E. All right. So I'm gonna put a little, oops, O, P, grab that. That's gonna help define his leg, at least that's what I'm hoping. And then I'm gonna grab this for my left click and put that, oops, there. All right, so we've got 2 legs, and now we need an arm. So our arm is going to be here. So let's say the arm is going to be defined by this. Oops, we need the other color because the light is coming from there, right? So let's say the arm comes out like this and then comes down like this, right? And then the black is going to help define it. This is GMOs, children. This is what your food looks like. Obviously, I'm just messing with you. All right. So we've got our red. I'm gonna hit O. I use O to grab color. That way I don't have to go all the way back over there. So if we look up here, we can sort of see what our little guy is looking like. And now we just need to put another edge on the far side here, right? So actually, I think I'm gonna move his face a little bit further over too. I need to grab the right tool. I'm gonna grab this face and shift, move it over, hit enter. It just pushes it a little further over. I think that'll be good. P, O, click it, good. Just moves it over a little bit. I think I'm gonna use a little more color here, or a little more black to really define his leg, right? And then, so now we're gonna put the other little nubbin he has for a hand because we don't have much room, right? There. So that arm is here, that arm's there. I'm going to hit O, click on that, put a little, click the color, hit P, grab that, right click here. So I've got some red. And now I've got a hand over there. And because I probably don't need it to be so heavy-handed, see what I did there? Maybe I'll do just the dark edge here. I'll use this. I'll use this to sort of make it look like the edge of his hand. Maybe. No, I think I need the darkness. The darkness. All right, cool. So there's my creepy apple character. All right, so that's exactly what we're going to do, and that's our recording for today. So you should have a character. Now notice he is, let me grab this stroke tool so we can look at it. I'm gonna grab, yeah, black. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way down to here. How many we have? If I 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's 8 pixels from here to the top, which means he is 24 pixels tall, which is what we wanted. Feel free to take more time than I did. Obviously, I was just sort of slapping something together. You could definitely do more. Maybe you could work with maybe giving him a little more, like, look. See? Now he's got a little bit of like an attitude. Like he's got Sonic He's like, hey, how's it going? I got like a weird, I don't know. He looks like a comedian or something. Let's see. Oh, maybe a little too much of the. I don't love the pink either. The pink's a little weird, but like I said, you can sit here and play with this to try and make it look better, and I'm fine with that. But hopefully this is the basic idea of what you're going for. You've got your multiple colors. It's debatable, actually, if I even need that like middle green. I think you could argue that I don't need it, but I do want to make sure that I continue that black outline all the way around, because that's my jam. If I want this apple to look sharper, I can put that up there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh no, he's too tall. Burp. I'm sticking with 24. You don't have to stick with 24, but I am. So therefore, he cannot be taller than that. I feel like that looks a little weird, but it's okay. It stays with the rules I was sticking with. His foot, you could argue that we could get rid of that and get rid of that, and maybe even hit O and do a little dark on the foot there to give him some shape or something. But yeah, that's the goal. So hopefully this will be kind of fun. I really hope you guys enjoy this sort of stuff. Notice that I'm using this piece here. If I get rid of that, I feel like it sort of dilutes the arm versus the leg. So I kind of like it with that extra block there. If I put this here, it makes his arm look really sharp. So I don't want that. If I put any sort of double edge, so right here, if I put this black, then it would be a problem because it would make it real sharp. So this is my character for now, and he's silly, and that's okay. He's got a leg. He's definitely got a knee. I don't really love the way his leg is sticking out, but that's okay. We'll figure something out. He's got 2 hands. He uses 10 colors, which is just enough, not too many. We have, let's see. Let's make sure we've done all of our homework here. Did our work. So here you go. 2 defined upper limbs, a torso, and a head. So his torso and head are kind of the same. We'll let that go. Obviously, the torso and head, I just didn't want somebody to turn something in that was just too wonky. If your torso and head are the same, that's fine. Torso, maybe I'll put and or head. And or head. Yeah, I'll change that so that it's okay. And what else? Let's go back to our rubric. Use between 5 and 10 colors. I use 10. Consistently fits within 24 by 24. In this case, you could do 16. 16 is really simple. You could go very small. You could do a whole lot smaller, and that would be fine. Let's see, clear background and no clipping. That's good. That's pretty easy to do here in Piskel. I wonder if we could give him like little eyelids, so he's like sleepy. There, now he's like sleepy apple. Yeah, okay, whatever. I'm not a fan. I think I like his big bright eyes better. He looks happy. Happy apple. All right, cool. So there we go. I stuck with it, and now here's how I'm going to save it. So right over here, save. I'm going to click save. I'm going to change my title. Instead of new Piskel, I'm going to title this, we're going to say it is number, but except for you, it's going to be whatever period you are, underscore your last name, and mine would be Donan, but I'm not putting it. And then we're going to call it character idle, IDLE. All right. We're going to save as, all right. We're going to save it on my desktop here. And it already has the same layout, okay, exactly what it should be. Hit save. And now you're going to upload this file to eCampus. And you did your work for today, good job. If you want to spend more time and mess around with it and try and get it just right, that's fine. That's 100% fine. That sounds like something I would do. So I'm on board with that. So if you want to do that, that's cool. If you don't and you're done, that's fine too. So that's it. our recording is done, your homework is done, you've sort of kept up with me, and this is all done. So it should be the end of the period, and you should be finished with your work. All right, that's it. Next time we'll do a walk cycle. See ya.